Yeah, your hand was up.
Yes.
You wanted to ask, please ask your question.
Yes, it was up. Yes, please. I only wanted to know if the GDP. Okay, I wanted to know if the GDP is also the same as the GDP deflator. Yeah, there was this statement my econs lecturer made concerning the GDP deflator, and I didn't really get it.
Okay, so we are now moving towards the GDP deflator. Okay, but I want to be sure that you all get the nominal and the real GDP and how we interpret them and their significance in it. So anytime you hear about economics, looking at, you mentioned Ghana's GDP, it means we're talking about now. Okay, so if they want to make some comparison or give a good economic interpretation of the performance of any economy, you don't look at the current state. We look out for what has happened in the past and we compare it to what is happening now. So anytime you want to make emphasis or comparison with reference to the past, we look out for real GDP, and that is the best way to measure anybody, even in human life. That is why I asked you earlier that if you want to measure your standard of living or how well you've come, we look out for your performance from past, and then we compare it, and we know that, oh, okay, this guy was good or he was worse. Are we good? Good. So let's go to the GDP.
I have a question.
Okay, ask.
You compare your past to your present, but how about if we are calculating for what's the name? Real GDP, and you are using maybe let's say 2003. Let's say we are now in 2003. How about 2003? Do you get my question?
Okay. So we are in 2003. We want to calculate GDP for 2003. Or is that not what you're asking?
No, I want to know. So right now, if I want to calculate for the real GDP, and then I presume 3 to be my base year.
Okay.
What will be the difference between the nominal and then the real?
If you are, I told you that with the real, we look out for a base year. We look out for a base year. If you are calculating, we are in 2003, and you are calculating GDP for 2003, you are doing what you call nominal GDP. It's not real GDP. So the GDP you are going to get is not real. It's going to be nominal. However, if the year has passed and you want to make a reference with a particular base year, okay, with a particular base year, then we can say it's a real GDP. But if you want to calculate GDP now, currently, Ghana's GDP, we are in 2022, right? We want to calculate real GDP for 2022. And of course, you cannot use the real. Okay, we use the nominal. Yes. Daniel, your hand is up.
Yeah, I want to help my brother. Simple. For the base year, nominal and real GDP are the same. So when you are asked to calculate a real GDP for 2003 or what, for the base year, real and nominal GDP are the same. So you get the same answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel. Is it TJ? Are you okay? Please, are we all following? Any other question? Your line is breaking. So kindly come again with your question. Let's move.
Yeah.
Okay. Your network there, I don't know, I'm sure you'll be in one of the diaspora halls. So let's go to GDP deflator. We don't have my time. Okay. So GDP deflator is a measure of the price level calculated as a ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP times 100. it tells us the rise in nominal GDP that is attributable. Look at this part. It tells us what somebody was asking about. Yes. It tells us the rise in nominal GDP that is attributable to a rise in prices rather than a rise in the quantities produced. Forgive me, the talking is plain. It tells us the rise in nominal GDP that is attributable to a rise in prices rather than a rise in the quantities produced. So GDP, what the GDP deflator tells us is that we want to look at how price has changed, not actually quantity. Okay. And you're talking about the price change in nominal. Okay, nominal. And you know, I've already told you nominal deals with the current prices. So we want to look at, okay, within a particular year, what has been the GDP deflator? Or what's the GDP deflator for this particular year? We will look at the nominal GDP, then we calculate GDP, real GDP of a particular base year, and multiply by what? 100. Okay. So GDP deflator reflect the prices. Anytime you hear about GDP deflator, you're looking at what? The prices at nominal levels. Prices at nominal levels. Prices at nominal levels. Let me repeat again. Prices at nominal levels. I'm emphasizing this because it is kind of confusing. And if you're going to bring any question in the exams, maybe this part may be, how do you call it? OBJ, okay? That what does GDP deflator reflect? It reflects the price of goods and services, but not the quantities, the prices. The highlighted word here is what? The price. I'm very particular about this one, the prices. Okay. This is the only one you're going to give to you. Maybe in the data response questions, some of you have been sending me some questions. This may be the only one you may be asked to find that calculate what the GDP deflator is, a nominal GDP. We know how to calculate nominal GDP, right? Over the real GDP times 100. Who doesn't understand real GDP deflator? Okay, I'll be changing the screen. Who doesn't understand the GDP deflator? Okay.
Why is it multiplied by 100?
Because it look at something. You're saying that it explains the ratio of nominal real GDP to real nominal GDP to real GDP. Now the GDP deflator is expressed in percentages. We calculate them in percentages. And anytime you want to calculate or compute mathematical percentage, you have to multiply by what? 100. So we express GDP deflator using percentages. Like person who asked, I don't know who asked the question. Is it Felix or the person who asked the question?
It's clear.
Okay. Okay, the same thing. Refer the price of goods and services, but not the quantities. Let's see if I could get some illustrations here. So here is a mathematical illustration. They told us to calculate the real and the nominal GDP. I hope we can all do this. So how do you calculate the real GDP? We are going to pick a base year. Did they give us the base year? They didn't give us the base year. So you can choose your own base year. Let's say 2001. I'm not going to it. If they give us, can you choose your base year to be 2001? That's in calculation of real GDP. Don't forget. But nominal, there is a nominal GDP. Here the price is what? I'm sure they're using the old prices. I'm coming. Let me scroll up to check how. 1 minute. Okay, do you recall this data we had here for nominal? Okay, you have a question? Yes, ask. Please unmute and ask. Ishra.
Is what the real GDP is rising.
Come again. Is it my internet or yours? Yes. Oh, Inshallah, I was waiting for you. Or I think.
Hello.
Oh, I'll log you out. One. Okay, let's continue.
Barrister. Hello, Barrister.
Yeah, somebody I just posted something on the page. I then paste it for everyone. If it's a question, don't send it to me directly. Okay. Okay. Somebody, I get you. Yes. Kindly unmute and ask your question. Okay. Yes, I was waiting for the person who wanted to talk.
Yeah, Barrister.
Yeah.
I wanted you to explain the question the guy asked.
Oh,
That
okay.
if the real GDP is rising, does nominal also rise?
When nominal GDP is rising, does real GDP also rise? Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. In the first place, anytime you hear of nominal GDP, know its current price, right? And real GDP is with reference to a base year. So if nominal GDP is rising, it does not really mean that real GDP will also be rising. Okay. When nominal GDP is rising, it does not mean real GDP will also rise.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Let me see. Let me go to the chart. When nominal GDP is rising, okay, no, I've answered this one. If nominal GDP is rising, real GDP must also be rising. No. Okay, so let's quickly go, and then we spent almost an hour. Okay, we spent almost an hour. Please, if you go through my OBJ that I sent to you, I'm going to meet some of these questions. Nominal GDP is rising. I don't know how many of you have tried the questions. If you tried it, these are the higher questions they will bring, similar ones. Very, and few calculations. So they are here, they are showing us nominal GDP uses current prices. You see, I was showing you some calculations. The calculation that we started earlier, we computed some calculation using the nominal and then the real GDP. Do you recall? So the nominal GDP, we had 200. Real GDP, we had 200. You're looking for the GDP deflator times what? 100. You're getting 100. Nominal GDP, we had 600. Real GDP, we had 350. And then multiply by 100, they had 171. Okay. Okay. What is true about real GDP and nominal GDP in the base year? How is a GDP deflator interpreted? So this is what they're giving the solution. They've written over that. That's why I'm not talking. Okay, how is that? I know we all know the first one already. What is true about the real GDP and nominal GDP in the base year? We all know it. Good. This is very at
Yeah.
what current price. And they're saying that how is the GDP deflator interpreted? Okay, that's what they've explained here. GDP of 171. I don't know the base they use. The average price.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Barrister.
Yes.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please talk.
Please, I'm saying hello. The question: what is true about real GDP and the nominal GDP in the base year?
Yeah, you're asking that question.
Hello.
Yes.
But the answer is supposed to be in the base year. Both real GDP and nominal GDP are the
Are the
same.
same. Yes.
Yes, that is in the base year. Real and nominal are the same.
Good. So in our question, they use 2001, right? So they chose 2001 as our base year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just like somebody answered earlier, the real GDP and nominal GDP in the same year are the same. Okay. That's why we had 200 and 200 here. Okay.
Yes.
Please, any other question?
And also, hello.
Yes.
Please, I want to say that real GDP is used to deflate nominal GDP.
Okay.
Yes, because you see, for the real GDP, we use base year. We choose a particular year. We
Okay.
use a particular year price as a base year, and the base year price is the price that we assume that prices were fairly and constantly stable. So we use that prices to measure the goods and services. So due to that, you cannot say when nominal GDP is rising, real GDP must also be rising. No, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Since we use a particular year as the base year price, it won't reflect that nominal GDP is rising, so that real GDP must also be rising. No. I don't think so. That's how I understand it.
Okay, that is right. Let me say we have a lot of Bella boys here. Okay, thank you very much, man, for the enlightenment. For the
Thank you
enlightenment.
too.
Yes.
I've
recorded it. After here, you can listen to it. I'll upload it for you. How many of you have watched the other videos? If you want to revise, I personally name the video so that anytime you pick a particular, you know that, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, and they are all on YouTube. Okay. Time. Okay, time. Sure. We solved this one. Okay, they're asking us, is GDP the best single measure of economic well-being of a society? No. If you want to look at the fact that Ghana's GDP is high, so Ghana, no. Of course, GDP shows that the economy is growing, but it's not a good economic measure of a society and even an individual. And they ask, what are some limitations of use of GDP as measure of individual well-being of a country? If you want to measure individual well-being, the best option is not look at GDP. Okay, we look at what you call the GDP per capita. Of course, me this since level 100, or since I've never believed in it, because some people are receiving 15,000 a month. Some people are receiving 300 cedis a month. You can tell me the difference. Some people are receiving 25,000 a month as their salaries. Or some people are receiving even less than 500 cedis as monthly salaries. So if you want to use GDP per capita to estimate people's head, well, it may give you values, but then it may not be the best. Okay, so we say another good way of measuring people's economic well-being of any citizen in the country is the GDP per capita. Where's the GDP, okay, over the population? I'm sure you've seen some of these questions, so please take note of them. GDP per capita is the GDP over what? The population. So we want to look at how much is everyone earning as a country. So we calculate, or we add up all income, and then we divide by the total population. So we assume that every Ghanaian owns at least 5,000 Ghana cedis, at least according to the statistics. We should be having 5,000. That was then, but not now. Now we assume that every Ghanaian has about, is it 12 Ghana cedi or something? It's not true. Some people have more than that, and some people have less than that. Okay, so my focus is for you to understand that GDP or GDP per capita help us to estimate that, okay, this economy is growing. Okay, so higher GDP per person higher GDP per person generally indicates a higher standard of what living. It means if the GDP per capita is high, people assume that, oh, okay, so people are actually surviving, but the economy is good. If it is low, it turns out to be what? The opposite. Okay. So let's look at what Senator Robert Kennedy, these are, anytime you hear senator talking about parliamentarian. So GDP does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry. So what it means is that there are so many things that are not captured in the calculation of GDP. You see how you come to school, how you walk, and even the kind of car you pick, the risk involved in coming to school. There are so many activities that are not captured in the calculation of GDP. So if we want to look at the GDP or GDP per capita and analyze the fact that because GDP per capita is high, so you assume people are surviving or the economy is in a good state, it's not good because some people are going through hell. Some people are going through fire. Some people don't have money. Some people are not able to join this Zoom meeting because they don't have data, not because they don't want to join, but because they don't have data bundle. Okay, so by GDP does not factor into all those things. Okay, so this part are kind of reading part that you can go and read and all other stuff. So a large GDP can help us lead a good life. As for this part, they are reading aspects. Okay, so we assume that the rich countries that have higher GDP, so they should have higher life expectancy, high literacy rates, good internet usage and all that. Poor country like Ghana should expecting these things to be the opposite. So if you have any question, please ask so that we go over for you and then we are done. We are done for this evening. Any question? Any question? See, Anita, I don't want to stress students, so I don't normally hold meetings more than 1 hour. Okay. Yes, so at least 1 hour, people are 1 hour, 10 minutes. So any question for me? So we all understood it. I want feedbacks. Anytime I teach students, I want to know whether they understood what they have been taught. Because other than that,
sir.
your joining of this meeting is unproductive. Okay. Do you all understand it very well? So
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well understood.
okay. Hey, somebody is asking, what is the formula for real and nominal GDP? Okay, we don't really have a formula. So real GDP, you just multiply, we have a base year. So you multiply the base year prices by all the quantities. Okay, that is all. Sometimes you may have to add because the prices are more than one at each level. But when you say nominal, you just the current price by the current quantity, current price. If you go and watch the previous video, maybe you just join, you understand it better. Okay. Please, any other question?
No, sir.
Okay. So in the absence of no question, please go and learn. Okay. Oh,
Can we ask you a question?
you want to ask a question?
Like, it's not about accounts, it's about
Okay.
you to you. Yes.
Okay, please ask me.
Please, what's the plans for the accounts department, like the UGESS and so?
Yes, I'm running for president. These are one of my plans. You see, I realize that most of you are facing issues when it comes to tutorials. That's why I even sent a form around. I asked you to fill it. I want to know the particular challenge you guys are facing. Some people are saying that, well, they want to hold tutorials. They want to, the course is difficult. Some of your friends are telling me they have no foundation in economics. Okay, so we are looking at these key areas so that if we have to talk to the HOD and increase the number of tiers at the department so that they can hold good tutorials, in-person tutorials for you, that is fine. And now I've been working around to get venues for tutorials. So once I'm elected into office next semester, before the semester begins, of course, we make avenues for tutorials so that right from the beginning, you wouldn't be fumbling or working around looking for venues for tutorials. I've secured tutorial
Okay.
venue for your friends and other stuff. And I'm also working on
aside our problems for tutorials and studying, what are your policies when you come into office? You'll be sharing with us like the plans you have for us aside our problems you are going to fix.
Okay, so let me talk on just to we are going to release our policies next week after the vetting. Okay, but then since you've asked, let me give you just two
Barrister,
of them.
please, it's recording.
Yeah, don't worry. Since you are here and you want me to explain, I'm going to highlight some of them for you. So when I came to your class, I made mention of the fact that as an economic student, it's not only about passing the course and going out, right? You need some skills. Some of you don't even know some skills.
Don't agree. You don't have to say anything for now.
So we have so many skills that you have to learn. Some include some skills in graphics, skills in Microsoft, skills in SPSS, and so many things. So these are skills that when I came in level 100, I didn't have these skills. As I sit here, I'm a graphic designer. I blog. I do in website and all that. When I came in 100, I didn't have these skills, but I got in touch with the MPR. He trained me and he taught me about learn these things. See here, my brothers, I'm going to make it available for everybody in the department. Also, an internship is very critical. As a level 100 student, you need to start preparing yourself for the business world. I even said it in some of your classes that you need to prepare yourself so that when you go into the business world, you won't be fumbling. Okay, this is the time you need to build your connection. So beside academics, we are going to create a venue that will help you get connected to people outside. Alumni will come in, you get in touch with them, you can take some of their numbers so that in the future you may need them. I told you that sometimes I even need some of my seniors who have completed. Beside you guys, we are going to have, I'm working on getting an endowment fund. Now some of you will not defer your course. I know some of you are struggling financially, and sometimes you pay your dues, you don't know where your dues goes to. So when you came to level 100, one of you saw me over there, we were taking your dues and all that. Yeah, these are things that we factor in and make sure that your dues counts. And you don't even know how much we earn from your dues and all that. Okay, my administration will see that everything is fair and clear. In your say, we want to assign this particular amount for a scholarship or to sponsor students who are at the point of deferring their courses. I heard some of your mates have deferred their course because they couldn't pay this academic fee. Or I have like 15 economic students who have actually deferred their course and it's painful. Okay, so these are things I know you have friends, but I need to convince them that economics is not about only tutorials and academics. I know my opponents also organizing classes, but then I'm not looking at only classes and all that. These classes is part. I'm dealing with intention. I'm working on getting internship slots for you. I'm dealing with opening your eyes for the business world. I'm dealing with creating avenues for all these things. I have people who are actually willing to even come in and train you. I have so many banks. Very soon, we guess week, you see the EaseRich bank, and I was speaking to so many banks who are willing to even come on board to register you on so many things. I mean, every guest member should have a bank account. Okay. These are so many things that I'm planning and putting into place. Beside that, your religious life is also very important. So I have a surprise for you all. Mhm.
Hello, Barrister.
Yes.
Hello, Barrister.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, which hall are you? And
I'm in
which
Legon Hall.
hall are you?
I'm in Legon Hall. I'm in the main hall.
And your level?
Oh, level 300.
And your level, please. I don't know. Oh, okay. Legon main hall.
Yes, please.
Legon main hall.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, I'll come and look for you.
Matthew, so you can all come and look for me. I'm always around.
Barrister for
sure.
guest president. Barrister for guest president.
Oh,
People
sure.
Barrister for guest president.
And
Thank
see,
you very much.
you're welcome. We can do many more things, but tutorial is also bad, but we can do more than tutorial.
Okay, so I'll
2009.
DM you where we talk.
So on our policies, it will make sense and it will make meanings to you. Okay. So I want you guys to keep pushing. And the ladies too, we have plans for ladies. Okay, we have a lot of my administration will give chance to a lot of level 100s and 200s in the committees and the committee heads. Yes, you are going to not the final years. We realize that when you give work to the final years, they don't really work. So we are going to give work to level 100s and 200s so that right from there you start developing yourself. Me, I was discovered in level 100 though. Level 109, mommy, deputy PR. So that is why you see that I'm working exceptionally. So I'm going to give opportunity to some of you who are very good so that, of course, you can also sharpen up. So let's win together. But so tell your friends, not only as here level 100, you will decide. So let's push together. The meeting is over. Okay, so
All
the
right,
videos
thank
will be
you.
available. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
Barrister for you, guest president.
Good night.